Welcome to Wake Up and Teach by Kelly Education, where we uncover inspiring stories and strategies for reimagining our nation's education workforce.
Hello, I'm Nicola Soares, President of Kelly Education, and welcome back to Wake Up and Teach, your front row seat to the future of the education workforce. Today, we're taking a close look at a critical challenge facing educators, burnout, and the out-of-box solutions that can revive the education sector and make it more sustainable. Our guest is Justin Wing, Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources at Mesa Public Schools in Arizona. Justin is leading the way with innovative solutions like the Next Education Workforce Model, developed in partnership with Arizona State University. He's also a key contributor to the Governor's Educator Retention Task Force, helping shape policy to tackle the root causes of burnout and retention issues. In our conversation, we'll explore how collaboration, reimagining the role of educators, and new support systems are revolutionizing the teaching profession. Let's get started. Hi, Justin. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, Nikki.
Yeah, it's so great to have you. So let's kick things off. Let's dive into your role as Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources at Mesa Public Schools there in Arizona. So I'm just curious, how do you champion support for your educators in your district?
I mean, probably the most obvious, we're human resources, so we're a resource to all of our staff, including educators. I think it's on us. We're here to support all of our educators, but we're also here to look into strategies and explore these new opportunities to provide better experiences for our educators.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, and probably just like what you see at Mesa Public Schools, the topic around burnout, and especially being president of Kelly Education in all the states that we serve, burnout is also another pressing issue in education today. So I'm just curious, in your district, how is this challenge manifesting among teachers? And what unique hurdles are you encountering?
Certainly, I hate to say it, but I think it matches throughout the nation. There's been a teacher shortage, and that's a working condition because where does that fall? That falls on the backs of all the other educators who are present, educating our students. That is one of the major reasons for a burnout. We have more alternative pathway certified teachers that we need to invest in and grow for long-term, to be a long-term teacher. But there are also expectations of the educators currently in the schools who help support these pathways. I mean, ultimately, the INTAS standards share that there's 173 competencies each teacher has to be for their profession. And that's just too many. It's untenable.
Yeah, I would imagine. And I'm just curious. So with the burnout, I mean, do you think that was exacerbated by the pandemic, or do you think that was well before the pandemic even got started?
In my opinion, it's been well before the pandemic. The pandemic just exacerbated the situation. It went from a severe to whatever's worse than severe situation.
Right. So I know that you are personally involved on so many things, from a governor's council that's really looking at the next education workforce model to you also have a partnership, a unique partnership, I should add, with the Arizona State University. So I would love to hear more about the collaboration between Mesa Public Schools and Arizona State University. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
I mean, I'll just say that because of this burnout situation, we have to explore all opportunities and not just rest with what we've always known. Education has not changed a whole lot in over a century, particularly with the workforce design. We all know it as one teacher, one classroom. Students go into the classroom in the morning, teacher goes in, closes the door. Their interactions are just with that group of students. Sometimes they switch, classrooms or whatnot, but you just have that siloedness where you're connecting with the students, which is great, but you have no connection with adults. And Arizona State University, Mesa Public Schools, we're challenging the current or old and current workforce design. Perhaps that is one of the main root causes of the teacher shortage nationally that's been experienced over the past decade, along with even the existing burnout that teachers are experiencing. I will share that it's imperative that public education, school districts, and universities explore flexibility, remove barriers, identify and remove barriers, and not just fit everything one size fits all, like we've been accustomed to for years. What I will share is Mesa Public Schools and Arizona State University, we often collaborate. I can't tell you how important it is for a school district and a university to have the ongoing, we're a team actually. Going back to what we'll eventually go into a little bit more, the teaming model, the next education workforce, we are also a team collaborating, looking at different ways. A couple examples. One is Mesa Public Schools was one of the first school districts in Arizona to have its own certification program. In addition, we have a master's program with Arizona State University for these alternative pathways, individuals wanting to change their career from whatever field they received their undergraduate degree in to become a teacher. And we need to invest in them. But these are adults who have been in the workforce in different industries. They're not high school graduates going into college. We had to look at how we leverage the school district and our personnel on coaching, providing job embedded experiences, while Arizona State University, or ASU, had to really refine their teacher prep program to meet the needs of these change of career teachers. That's one example. The second one is looking at that workforce design and implementing ultimately what is the next education workforce, removing silos and building teams.
That's amazing, Justin. And I can tell you, just with a lot of the work that we do, you guys are probably way ahead compared to many, many districts across the country. I also know, especially when you mentioned team teaching, I know that it works. Years ago, when I was a teacher, I was on a team as well with ninth graders, and it was just an incredible impact. So I'm curious, with your own sort of pathways to teaching and alternative credentialing of those that wish to pursue a teaching career, what's been the impact to student achievement with your particular program?
Certainly, the alternative pathways and its preliminary data, our second year pathway teachers are experiencing similar data, student outcomes, as second year teachers who went through the College of Education 2 years ago. And I give that credit to Arizona State University and Mesa Public Schools. It's not, we don't want to make it a revolving door and that desperation hires because of the teacher shortage. We want individuals who want to become a teacher, provide them with job embedded experiences and coaching, mentoring, modeling, not having it a short program. It's a 2-year program, really building their pedagogy to become great long-term teachers. We have identified individuals who in their heart have always wanted to become a teacher. And for whatever reason, I'm sure I can name a few reasons, but they chose a different path when they went to college. But in their heart, they always wanted to be a teacher. And now Mesa Public Schools, Arizona State University has removed a lot of barriers where the transition to become a teacher has given them opportunities they never thought they could have or explore, or would cost them a lot of time and dollars to do so. And I've always said it, a caring teacher is half the battle. So if you have individuals who in their heart have always wanted to be a teacher, they also bring things that are ahas. They bring their work experience into the classrooms. They have been in a position where they had to be held accountable and they had urgent accountabilities. And so they're a little further advanced than even the College of Ed graduates because they've had that work demands they had to build that work ethic. They know what they don't know, and they're a sponge wanting to learn more. So quite honestly, not only has it helped build a pipeline for our teacher ranks, but we've seen great positive things from it.
Right, right. That's interesting. Are you guys seeing any sort of like healthcare professionals, certainly for those that might have also been burnt out during the pandemic, that they're sort of still very purpose-driven professionals, but they might be now trying their hand in a career in education? I mean, are you seeing sort of different kinds of talent pools, if you will, that sort of transferring into education, especially pursuing it through an alternative certification pathway?
Interesting. I think after the pandemic, there's been more interest in changing your career to become a teacher, not particularly a certain industry. It seems like all industries. So I don't know if the pandemic itself caused everybody to reconsider what's their priority in life. But we have had government officials, former legislators, your correct health providers, accountants, journalists, you name it, really going into teaching and loving being a teacher. Another quick story, if you don't mind, Nikki. We had a preschool assistant, a paraprofessional who had a degree in another field, a single parent with a couple of young kids. And this individual was incredible as a paraprofessional. And we were able to hire this individual as a preschool teacher right away, remove barriers. And the individual was in tears saying this was a life changer. And this individual is an incredible teacher right now. So there are other positive things outside of just changing your career from a different profession. Even within the education ranks, we have individuals who will be remarkable teachers. They just have that barrier of perhaps going to school at night, having to pay all the tuition. And in this case, time was also important to this individual being a single mother.
Wow, that's amazing. So I also know, Justin, you are also a major contributor on the governor's Educator Retention Task Force. And I know there's been some key recommendations coming out of that work. Can you just kind of share a little of those recommendations that you find the most effective in terms of mitigating the teacher shortages across Arizona?
Certainly, we, as a retention task force, we really considered some of the primary root causes of the teacher shortage that we're experiencing. And so we identified and came up with some solutions with that. There's some obvious ones. We need to increase pay and benefits for our teachers. More so, we also need to increase pay and benefits for supporting staff for individuals. And that includes funding. Arizona's, whatever article, whatever research you read, 49th or 50th in education funding. So not only is pay low, but the lack of support for our educators are low as well as a result of that. So that is one area. The governor is seeking an exploration of how we can pool our resources for improved health benefits. Dependent care coverage for educators is very high in Arizona, and I think nationally as well, more so than most industries. And so not only your pay is low, but you're also contributing a lot in your paycheck for that dependent healthcare coverage. That's another example. A lot of education, do our educators know about student loan forgiveness opportunities and the varied ones there are? So we don't really have a hub. And I know U.S. Department of Education has a website on student loan forgiveness, but it's a lot of words and it's not simple to understand. And so really having some resources where perhaps it's a trainer model, where individuals can train HR professionals, for example, and then we can educate our educators in each school district. So that was another one as well. One of the ones I really enjoyed is seeking and sharing innovative practices, best practices that are occurring in certain school districts. And we named one of them just a few minutes ago, and that's that next education workforce, looking at removing the siloed one teacher, one classroom model to have more of a team of educators and other personnel overseeing a larger pool of students in their education and providing them some flexibility, also removing some weights off each other's shoulders, really kind of have that shared education and learning experience.
Absolutely. And, it just kind of reminds me, you're doing a ton of creative stuff, very innovative things, and really tapping into the communities of legislation to higher ed institution partnerships, which I think is fantastic. But when we think about sort of mindset shifts that need to take place, especially, in the upper levels of instructional leadership, I mean, what did you guys do to really, connect internally with your stakeholders to kind of say, hey, we need to do some things differently. We need to be creative here. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that? Because I'm sure it was a journey just to convince internal folks that we needed to do things differently.
Certainly. And there's a culture of innovation in Mesa Public Schools. If you have not seen, Arizona State University is the number one innovative college for multiple years. And so there's that culture and that relationship that we always are seeking for continuous improvement or just enhancements to our professions. So that establishment helps a bunch, but you are correct, changing the mindset from the traditional, what we already know. We only know what we know. I think one of the things we did is we started small. And I can give you a story of Stevenson Elementary School where the Principal Adams, really focused on how can we have this shared responsibility, this team of third grade teachers teaching a group of students together collectively and being flexible and not just have hey, you have this set of 25 students, you have this set of 25 students, we'll talk at lunch, more really teaming majority throughout the day. And what happened is word of mouth occurred. And those third grade educators shared all of these great experiences. And this occurred right after the pandemic. So that probably helped a little bit of opening the minds of others. And the principal had thought maybe the following year I'll do one more grade level. No, collectively, the educators went to the principal and said, we all want to do that. So in a 2-year period, it went from small to the whole school, really focusing on leveraging the next education workforce, our teaming model.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing.
And then it keeps flowing after that, So Arizona State University, Mesa Public Schools, we've had groups throughout the nation come visit our schools. We've had folks from the Netherlands even, come visit our schools, really seeking this new education model and to avoid that one teacher, one classroom that's leading to a lot of that burnout.
Right, right. So I'm curious, what advice would you offer to other districts and schools contemplating a shift to collaborative teaching models as a strategy to combat burnout?
I mean, I would go back to that. You need to start small because it is a change. And as many of us know, change is hard. Whether we say it's not, it definitely is for all of us, I'm sure, in different areas. But it is hard in the education because we only know what we know. And I would start small, and I would make sure that your school leader has the willingness to take chances, a reasonable risk. Also, you need to leverage your educators. Your educators collectively will come up with their own plan. One thing to note, the next education workforce is not one model. Here's their program. Follow tab 1 and then tab 2. It's not that way at all. So really leveraging your educators, work as a team, go, how is this going to look like next year? And just build from that. But what I will say that the timing is right. There is a teacher shortage. There is teacher burnout. The one teacher, one classroom is just not working. And I think it's evidence among all industries. Read about cross-functioning teams and how successful that is and the advantages, outside of the school district, probably a little bit more advanced than even we are. I'll even share, even within my human resources department, many silos in the department. And now we are applying a team-based model as well. Does it match the school? No, because it's not a school. It's the human resources department. And the language, the abilities and capacities of just my team alone compared to 3 years ago, it's night and day. Unfortunately, we're even losing people for promotions in other districts because they've grown so much. But that,
Right. Yeah.
But that also alludes to a great working environment, and we're proud of those individuals.
Well, and I would imagine, a lot of the work that you guys are doing with the next education workforce model, I would assume it's expanding across the state. Probably not every district has sort of adopted the concept. Is that correct?
That is correct. Even Mesa Public Schools, we have over 80 schools. And so not all 80 schools are in the same spot. The readiness is different. So we have some schools that are full school wide. We have some schools that are high schools, 9th grade only, and they're planning on transitioning 10th grade next year. It varies.
Yeah. So if every district, every school were to adopt, what are some of the long-term impacts that you hope that you'll achieve as a state via this model?
Some things we're already seeing. We have Johns Hopkins University's really collecting data on our teaming model. They're already seeing that teachers are more satisfied when they're in a teaming model. They have better connections with their students, they believe, as well. They also feel that students are better connected to teachers. If you think about it, because I think about it when I was a kid, if you didn't like your one teacher in 3rd grade, you had that teacher for the whole year. You were not able to have that adult-student relationship. That may be best for educational purposes. Now you are able to have more opportunities to connect with other adults. We talk about diverse workforce recruitment in human resources. It's hard to have one individual be similar to all 25 students in one classroom. But if you have a team of 4 teachers, for example, and 100 students, you have opportunities to connect in various ways while still holding that teacher-pupil relationship.
That's amazing. So just to clarify for our audience too, so when we talk about team teaching, are we just talking about the academic mainstream subject area teachers, or would you say it's also inclusive of like special ed teachers or a reading literacy coach along with the academic teachers? If you could just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, certainly. When individuals first share, we do departmentalize. We meet during our planning period and talk about students. I'm the math teacher, you're the English teacher, you're the science teacher. While there's some teaming components to this is more throughout the day teaming. So you may see a class with 50 students and 2 teachers in it together. You may see students every day have a different schedule based on meeting their individual needs. 4 classrooms, 100 students. It's not 25 students following along on a schedule and go, you're going here for period 2. It's intermixed. Sometimes it's not, sometimes it is. We're leveraging other staff as well, paraprofessionals. Our special ed teachers are in the teaming model. Business partners are part of it. Volunteers are all part of that model. And these educators have this flexibility, even daily, to design what it looks like to meet the needs of every student. I did forget to mention that I think we also need to look at teacher retention a little bit different. We're not going to hire a teacher who's going to teach in room 201, 3rd grade for the next 30 years. It's unlikely to happen. What we need to do is we need to retain them in education and within our system. So part of our teaming model is we do have a lead teacher in every team. They have their own job description. They have a salary component as well, compensation reported, and they're also leveraging what teachers have. They have that leadership component to them. Most of us don't think about it, but you are a leader while it's with students. Here, you can apply it to the adults in your team as well. So we're just exploring even opportunities to reach different what teacher retention may look like.
Yeah, that's outstanding. So we're almost at the end of our conversation. So Justin, I'm curious if you could wave your magic wand in terms of aspirationally what you would like to see for the teaching profession, what that career could ultimately look like. How would you change that? How would you transform that? 10 years from now, what would it look like?
It would not look like the one teacher, one classroom model.
Yeah.
Quickly, my wife's a 1st grade teacher in a different school district. And if you map out their work schedule, she's with adults 17% of her week. And most of that's with lunch and maybe a planning time. When she gets home and she shares all the great experiences with her class, she's like, you're the first adult I'm talking to all day. And it's like 4 or 4:30 in the afternoon, if not later. So I would like to see happy teachers who feel they're most successful based on the working conditions. And that working conditions includes relying on each other and each other's distributed expertise, focusing on that positive learning environment for students, and that students are growing, but also our staff are growing as well.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. So, Justin, I just want to thank you today. I enjoyed the conversation, all of the work that you're doing with Mesa Public Schools. Chief People Officer, that's what we call it in our world. Enormous impact for education, the career, and for our students. So thank you again, Justin, Assistant Superintendent, Mesa Public Schools in Arizona. So we hope to talk to you sometime in the near future as well.
Hey, thanks, Nikki. Appreciate this time.
We'll be back soon with more discussions on the future of education and the strategies that are making a difference in classrooms across the nation. Until then, I'm Nicola Soares, and I look forward to having you with us again on Wake Up and Teach. Take care.
This podcast was produced in partnership with Amaze Media Labs.